Hello, Resilience family. Welcome to another episode, guys. As I wait for my guests to get in the studio, I just want to talk about life a little bit. So I hope you guys have been having a wonderful, wonderful week. It's been an eventful one for me. I've been having a little transitions happening in my life, but life, right? You see what the situation is or what the matter is, and you adjust, right? So that's what's happening right now. I hope you guys are doing the same. I hope you guys are out there being resilient and bouncing back, looking at the situation, stepping back and seeing it for what it is, but seeing it through God's eyes for what it will be. That's the trick. That faith part, right? That faith part is the tricky part. But as you go through life, you'll get it. You'll get it. That click will happen, and you will see. You will see. So, this step in the back is what I really like. It lets you see the whole picture, the big picture, God's picture. So you can access, so you could shed that pruning that I talked about before and grow or fail forward, as some folks say sometimes. Life is really what you make it. It is really what you make it. So as I always say, keep Jeremiah 29:11 in your peripheral. Keep it in your mind. Keep it in your heart. I'm going to pull it up and read it for you guys, for I know many know this scripture verse. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." So let that encourage you. Let it know that anything that comes your way is for your good. It's going to work out. As long as you trust in God, keep Him first, steadfast. It will work out. So yes, step back sometime. Take a pause. And know that God got you. Know that God got you. Again, I'm waiting on my guest, Traycee Mayer, guys. Just a wonderful woman that I met. Actually, networking, doing some speed networking, I guess, as you call it. Just an amazing, amazing woman. And prayerfully, we are going to talk today about listening, about doing things in love, about letting your light shine. So Traycee Mayer, she's been an executive coach for a long time. She specializes in human-to-human approach that enables leaders to achieve growth and exponential success in their personal and professional lives. My conversation with Traycee was quite enlightening. We talk about being in the moment of where you are, of what's happening in your life. Accepting the moment. and making change from the moment. We talked about listening to others, like effective listening. Not so much listening to respond or to give a response, but to receive. And then give a response, if it's granted, because sometimes a person just needs someone there to listen. Someone there to listen. You will have your trials, which means you're going to have your difficult moments. You're going to have hard times. It's life. It's what happens. I believe it's given to us to strengthen us, to build that resilience, to lean on God more, to know that we need Him. And they come to build connections. I truly believe that. It comes to build connections. Because you have some come that understands what's happening in your life. You have others that come that's been through what you've been through. They could guide you if we're willing. You have to be willing. You have to accept it. There are times that we celebrate. That builds connections. So take time out and just think about your life today. Take time out to step back, I want to say. Take the initiative to actually listen to each other, to one another. Because it's a teaching tool. I believe it gives you a lesson. It helps you. Take time for you. Because you got to first love you. So you can love others, So you can allow God to love on you. Take time to review your life so you can set more goals, so you can set your boundaries, so you can experience that peace and joy God wants us to have here on this earth. God, I don't believe God wanted us to have turmoil. Yet, we do have free will. So we have choices, we have decisions that we make that fashions our life. So take time out, take a pause, step back, and review. So I thank you guys for tuning in, because I am supposed to have my guest Traycee Mira on. I'm not sure if we got the timeline wrong, the time zone. And we did confirm. So I'm letting God just use me today. And hoping she'll get into the studio. And maybe I'll be logging on a little later, because a lot of people get the time zones confused. I know I'm struggling, guys, but somebody chime in and just tell me What do you think Arizona time zone is? How about I throw that out there? As we discussed today about taking time out for you. So I hope you guys take this to heart and take time out for you. Show yourself some love. Show yourself some grace. And adjust. Please try to close out the noise. What the world is telling you where you're supposed to be, what's supposed to be happening in your life at this age, at this time right now. And guys, I'm talking from experience because yes, this is what I've been going through, what I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to have right now. I know we do have a future to think about. I know we do want to have that legacy. I know we do want to leave something behind for our loved ones, for our children. For some of us, that may not happen. I don't want you to feel bad about it. I really don't. I believe God is going to love us for what we do here on earth. Just don't get stuck, Just don't get stuck in where you are if you're having a hard time right now. Please try to produce. When God said he wanted us to multiply here on earth, I believe he was talking about everything, not just us having kids. Because some of us, might not be called to have them. I believe he was talking about the love we give, the grace we have for others, serving. But yes, you do want to try and multiply your finances. You do want to try to multiply having some property. You want to try and multiply in every area of life. So do your best. Don't beat yourself up. I know it's hard. Been there. Trust me, y'all. I've beat myself up many a times because of some of the choices that I've made. Or because some choices others have made in my life that just didn't pan out, or the other person needed some healing, or even I. So don't beat yourself up. Take some time out for yourself. Love on you. Journal. It helps me. It helps get those thoughts out. And next time I'm going to be better prepared because I should show you my journal. I have one on Amazon. It's just to help you be grateful, show some gratitude, help you access your life. Just give you, help you think a little bit. So thank you for tuning in. This was not as planned. I might go live a little bit later once we reach Traycee Mayer. But thank you. I hope this helped you in some way this morning or today or whenever that you're listening to this, to take time for you. Step back and assess. Show yourself some grace. Start over if you have to. I am. Like literally, guys. Ooh, if I tell you what's happening in my world. But God. Okay? Yep, but God. Yeah. So I love you guys. And we'll see what happened later with Traycee Mayer. Hopefully you all can join in. Oh my gosh, here she is, guys.
Hey, doll, how are you?
Well, hello. I was letting the audience know I think we got our time zones mixed up.
Did we really? Oh my goodness.
But I'm glad you're here. So guys, much ado, because I've already introduced you. I've talked about you and I just told them I'm waiting for you to get in the studio and here you are.
Oh, well, I'm excited and I was waiting for the time. So it must be the time change, but
Yes.
I'm blessed to be here with you.
Yay, welcome. So please tell everybody a little bit about yourself. We're going to dive right in.
Oh my goodness. Well, so you know my name, Traycee Meyer. I have spent over 40 years in leadership and um, have led really large teams. But something about that experience a couple of years ago just kind of struck me as a different way that I've been doing it all along. The way that I've always cared for my employees and taken the time to really connect with them, to listen to them, to see them, to hear them. And, during a hike I took during, COVID, and I was out by myself, and something really struck me that, all these choices that I had made were part of who I was, and that I could continue to make those choices going forward. And all of that developed into a book that I wrote and published last year called The Leadership Contradiction.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I just love talking about it because I just feel like it was, it's that divine intervention in my life of who I was supposed to be and who I still am. And, all those decisions I thought I made when I was little, or my parents had told me how I was going to be and what I was going to do. And yet it just, we get to be who we are as human beings if we pay attention to the gifts that we have to give.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is good. So talk a little bit about the book.
Okay.
I have to give me a copy. Why am I behind? Anyway, please. I have to give me a copy. I'm a firm believer in supporting, and I love reading. I have a book club.
Thank you.
Please.
And it's a quick read, and never in a million years thought I'd write a book, but it was actually Christmas morning. I would come to find out later that I was out doing a hike in Southern California, where I lived at the time. I actually grew up and lived my whole life in California until just earlier this year. And I think we talked about that a little bit. I have a new grandbaby here, so there's a little bit of an incentive to move right across the country. So it was 2022, I guess. I was walking in the canyon, and I was all alone in the bottom of a canyon, a beautiful canyon in Southern California. And something just, it felt like there was a hand on me that said, stop right here and just, look backwards, think about where you've come from in your life, look forward. And it was just such a pivotal moment in my life where I really felt like I was just standing in the middle of my life. And as I write a little bit about it in the book, I took out my note taking app in my phone, which is so strange to be doing while you're hiking. But I wrote some things that just kind of started flowing through my head, and it was just about the choices that we have in our life, and how that there are all these different paths to take, and we often do have choices, and and there'd be plenty ahead of me. So it just so happened, I made those notes and didn't think anything of it. And I hiked that canyon every day. And I think it was the year later, I was doing a workshop with an amazing woman. Her name is Renessa Boley Lane, and she works with women about finding your perfect work, and really looking at, who are you, and what is your, what are the blessings and the, and the gifts that you've been given, and have you manifested them? And she's like, you need to write a book. And then it just happened that in succession, a number of other people said the same thing. So in 9 months, I wrote this book, and it just was reflections on my journey, and hoping that my experience could help others, and could help lift others up, and can help leaders understand what it's like to be human, and not forget that we all are human, and we need to love each other. And and I think as I've progressed over the last few years, and just really leaning into that love, and you and I've spoken about that, and had such an immediate connection the first time we got together. And as humans, it's such a natural thing to love, and it's a human love, and it's something that we got away from, years ago. Who knows why? I like to think that it was because of just some misbehaviors in the workplace and things where it made it not okay to love other human beings, or be kind or caring, because it might mean something else. So yeah, so that's kind of a long way of getting around to why the book was written. And I've done dozens of podcasts. I love talking about the subject, not the fact that I wrote a book, because, millions of people have written a book. But if I could say one thing that could help one other person on here to find a way to love themselves, which I talk about in the book, or to love others. And right now, more than ever, we all need to lift one another up. Yeah.
Yes, this is so true. I was on another show yesterday, just doing a recording for another podcast, and she was saying the exact thing. She was like, "We just need love right now. The world needs love right now. Such a time as this." And I believe if we just have that, if we keep that and do everything in love, man, we'll have so much peace. We'll just, man, the world, I don't know, will be bubbly. Like,
and it is bubbly, and I love that you say that. And you're bubbly. That's I think why we were attracted to each other. So what's really fun, Dawn, is I just I met 3 women that I've never met in my life. Basically, I didn't meet them on Zoom, right? But we met in Madrid in early October. And we spent a couple of weeks walking the Camino de Santiago. And if you don't know about it, definitely Google it. It's quite an adventure. And we spent several months kind of trying to get ourselves, mentally and physically ready for it. But there's no describing what an experience it was. And the reason I'm sharing this story with you is because there was this one picture that I took, and I took lots of pictures, and thousands of pictures I've taken over the years about different paths and stuff I've taken are going to be in a publication. It's called the Leadership Paths Oracle Deck, with some affirmations and stuff. But this is one picture that stood out to me. And about a day from getting into the square where the St. James Cathedral is, and the Santiago de Compostela, these are where trails and paths from all over, from the ones that began in France 5 or 6 weeks ago, or the people who began in Portugal, or the people who began in southeastern Spain. Some people take a month, 6 weeks, whichever, and they all kind of convene at this one place about a day out of getting into the final destination. And do you know that there was quiet laughter? There was an energy that was just full of love. There were people from all walks of life, from probably every country in the world, different ages, different cultures, different language, different perspectives and point of view, but it's the place where everybody was coming together. And I took a picture, and suddenly the path was filled with individuals. And I remarked to some of my friends, that this is just a representation of humankind. Yeah. It's like the universe has this giant heart with lots of little hearts that belong to each one of us.
Right.
And we didn't have a conversation ahead of time, or are we going to get along, or do we like the people that are on our path, or it's just none of that, because that's not necessary. It was just, we were all coming together in a common journey, regardless of what our purpose was to be there, or what we were discovering about ourselves.
In
the process. But
wow. That's that connection, you all have kin spirits is how I see it, and they brought everyone to that one spot, and you just shared the moment. I think that's awesome. And then you are across country, amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Love
I'll
that.
send you the picture because it was this just one moment, and it was only one picture that I took, but out of the 1,000 that I took, thousands of pictures, which is stunning, by the way. People have walked that path for thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years, and what a privilege to walk it. But it was that one picture that I captured at that one moment, and it just made me think, wow, we're all coming together.
Yes. Yes.
And
Man.
I think it was a message. It was a message for me. I went on that journey for me to receive messages. I feel like I've spent many, many years working on processing burdens and trauma and things that I've experienced in my life. And that trip was for me to give love back and to also receive messages of what is next for me.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
So that's reminds me of like the walks I take. I love taking walks. I believe that's how most of the time God downloads in me what I'm supposed to share or what's supposed to happen in my life, or just a conversation. And that's what that sounds like. I can't wait to go across the country though to do that though. I think it's going to be just heightened. I think the level is just going to be a whole nother level. Honestly, this path that God has me on. Man, so let's talk about this listening to others. I wanted to dig more in that from our
Okay.
conversation.
Yes. And listening is so important, and but it's more than listening, it's hearing. It's
Yeah.
actually hearing what people are saying. I think so often, and we've all heard this, we think listening is kind of halfway listening to what they're saying, but really preparing for how we're going to respond, which has
Mm,
actually nothing to do with listening. Um, I have to say that, as a certified executive coach from Berkeley, they taught me in very great depth the idea of listening to find heart and meaning from others. It's part of the pedagogy of being a Berkeley coach, and thank goodness through my coaching over the last couple of years, I've been able to refine that. But it's amazing. When someone can take the time to really listen and do not interrupt, don't plan
yeah.
what you're going to say next, just absolutely listen. And it's not easy either. It's not. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, right?
Yeah.
uh,
It
but
will
listen,
solve a lot of problems.
yeah, exactly. But listen for what's important to that person. Watch, if you're on Zoom, or if you have the blessing to be in person, which I know you and I will be someday, and it'll be so fun to meet you in person, and just to see in their eyes and to feel in their body language, like what is it that they're really saying, and then check back with them, and kind of put it in a package, and that's what I do as a coach, is I put it in a package, and I say, what I've heard is this, and I share it back. And very often we don't even know what we're saying. We don't know what's going on in our mind, or things that light us up, because there's just so much going on in our head. And that's what I love about, I have a coach, great coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
So I have a couple actually, but and I encourage that. But so I've gotten a chance to experience that from the other side, but I know how important it is to listen to others. So again, it's not really, it's not as much listening as it is hearing, and,
Mhm.
and hearing other people, you can help make them feel valued. Um,
Hmm.
you can also help them to feel seen. All of that through listening from a different place, with
Right.
your heart. It's like listening with your heart. It's listening for what's important to that person. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
got so many stories about listening, and there's a lot in my book too, because I feel like somehow there's a through line about that in there, and not realizing the impact that I had on others through listening. And again, this is not about me. This is just about a gift that I think that I was given, that, God said, this is something that you can be good at, Traycee, and that if you pay
Yeah.
attention, you can be good at it. Right. And then talk about it and help other people understand. So I don't claim to come to this on my own at all. But I'm lucky to carry the message.
Yes. So I'm going to quote you because, I had to do my little research of you and look everywhere where I could find you, because this quote that you actually posted, I believe it goes hand in hand with what you're saying. So you said true leadership stems from emotional power. When we master our emotions, we master the art of connection and inspire greatness in others. To me, that's just fireworks, because I've been telling people you really need emotional resilience. I believe it guides you and help you make better decisions. And I was speaking that to me, because I have reacted just to be reacting, you know what I'm saying, because of my emotions, and it's like, what? I believe those two go hand in hand. So
True.
Let's say yes.
Yes. That brings something to mind on that power. I recall it, and I do talk about this often, and it is in my book. And there was a time that I was managing a large hotel. I started managing hotels when I was very young. I actually started in leadership when I was quite young, but probably that's a good thing, because I didn't get a chance to have somebody tell me I needed to do it differently. I started leading people, and it worked because I was really interested in the people that I worked with and who they were. And, having come from, very lower middle class family, like that love was everything. And I remember this day I was walking through the hotel, and which I did every day. It was one of those managing by walking around. I felt that was really important. I didn't need to wear my name badge. I did expect other people to wear theirs, but I thought it was distracting for me to have mine, because I didn't need people to think I was important or anything. But there was a gal I remember, and I call her Maria in my book, but I walked up to her, and she had her housekeeping cart outside. And let me tell you, the hardest working men and women in a hotel are the housekeepers.
Yes.
But I was walking past her, and I would never just walk past people, and I was never too busy. So I stopped and kind of pushed her cart aside and said, Buenos dias, Maria. And she looked at me, and she kind of put her head down a little bit. And I'm like, what's going on? So I got right in front of her and I grabbed her shoulders, and, and I said, hey, how are you? And she's like, Traycee, I don't speak English very good, and I'm embarrassed. And she's, she was speaking some English, some Spanish. And, I said, Maria, my Spanish is not very good either. And, but together, we can help each other. We can help each other learn. And if I speak terrible Spanish and you speak terrible English, we're gonna figure it out. I got you, and we're gonna figure this out together. And, and from that moment was born emotional power. She was given the grace to, not look at deficiencies, but to look at her gifts. And to me, she was a gift. And I got to be a gift to her as not a boss or not a leader who disqualified themselves because my ego was in the way. And, and to say that's not 100% of the time. I'm sure I could have plenty of previous employees. I'll tell the story that I have had issues with my ego. It's just really in check right now. Thank goodness. Now that I'm a grandma, I can, teach my grandson some things about that dangerous thing called an ego.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. So anyways, I hope that story does share a little bit about that. And, just really being humble and
Yes.
realizing that that's also part of that power,
Yeah.
emotional power, is being humble and approaching people in the world, though they have a message to share with you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't have learned that unless I had that experience with her.
Correct. And you took it right out of my mouth. Staying humble. Oh my God. It brings so much awareness to you. Staying humble. Yes, you might want to jump and do something like you're saying, keeping your ego in check. It go both ways, as to keeping, like I'm saying, keeping you humble as a person, as your being, and it helps you to stop other incidents from happening. If you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to put it in the right words here.
Mhm.
So you're not reacting so much off of your emotions,
Right.
like I told my friend, your brain and your heart has to have a meeting, you know.
I love that.
Yes. And so you could come as one, so you can stay humble, so you can not deviate off the path that God has for you. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Because I could look back on the many of incidents that happened in my life. Gosh, well, I wish I would have put myself in check that ego, check my emotions, stayed humble, not reacted,
Mhm.
because of what was happening at the time,
Right.
because all is going to pass away, and as the old saying is, choose your battles, so I
Oh,
think it all weaves, as you're saying, listening to hear, you're hearing, staying humble, having that emotional resilience, it strengthens you, whether you believe it or not. Yeah,
oh, absolutely. And not only does it strengthen ourselves, but I think even more it strengthens other people. That what we have to offer others is so strong. That resilience. I did this thing in Spain, which is kind of fun. I want to share. And again, it's not about me and nobody will ever know it was me. But it was from something that God told me to do during COVID, right? I was on that trail and I was walking around by myself, a lot of days. I actually got pretty fit. So that was the good thing that came out of that for me. But, I felt like people needed some hope. People
yeah,
needed love. They needed
yeah.
something. So I would pick up rocks that I found on the trail and I would take them home and I would wash them off and let them dry, and they'd be on my countertop, on the little paper towels. And then I got some markers that were sparkly and such, and I wrote love and hope and believe and just a couple of basic words on there on those rocks. And then I put them in a Ziploc bag and jumped on my bike. And, the next day I went back to the trail and I would just stop. I would feel pulled towards, that little cubby hole over there next to that tree is where I'm going to place one. And I did. And I would place them all around the trails. And just for giggles, I would go back around the trail again. And by the time I did, a couple
Mhm.
hours later, there weren't any rocks left.
Oh, wow.
Someone,
Nice.
someone had come along that needed that message.
That's amazing. So I'm going to bounce off that because I have another good friend. She's a podcaster too. Her name is Kim Lingling.
Mhm.
Um, and she talks about, what does she call it? Gosh, something nuggets, like hope nuggets or something
Oh,
like that.
okay.
She does the same thing. She keeps little rocks of nuggets. And, if it's just pulls out if the spirit tells her, she'll hand it to a person just in passing and give
Oh,
them that little nugget.
I love
Um, and that just reminded me of that. I think that's amazing. I just think that's that little love we
it.
splashing out into the world, to give a little bit of hope. That's what she called them, hope nuggets.
Oh, how
Yes.
wonderful. Well, I actually called mine love rocks. And Yeah, so I recreated it 3 years later, I guess, or 2.5 years later, when I went to Spain last month, and the symbol of the Camino de Santiago is a shell. It's it's a scallop shell,
Mhm.
and it has to do with the way that the paths are shaped, kind of like a shell. Like
Yeah.
where the point is where the St. James Square is, where everybody comes together.
Mhm.
But it's also, the pilgrims would wear that on their backpack. When I got to Spain, they actually gave me one that I put on my backpack, and that would signify that I was walking this pilgrimage. And it's also how the pilgrims would drink water out of the streams. They would use the shell to do that. Um, so I had this idea that I would just kind of um, rebirth my love rocks, and they became love
Nice.
shells. And so
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
I bought a couple, I don't know, 3 dozen shells of different size. They were all, real shells. And I just put a red heart in it. And the couple of girls that were with me, they were the first to receive one of these. And, and they weren't from me. There was someone else. And there was, my
Yeah.
higher God gave them, this idea. And so I would walk along the path, and I would just get one out of my pack, and I would give it a kiss, and I would say a prayer, and I would know where to put it. And normally no one ever saw me when I left them there, because
Mhm.
I knew someone would come along that would need that moment, would need a bit of kindness, a bit of love. Um, they were going through something or thinking about something, and that message would help them find resilience. That message would help them um, take a turn that they needed to be stronger.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that moment it would make them smile because there was someone that they would never meet and never know that left that message for them. Because
Wow.
the right people found it, right? That
Exactly. Yeah.
exactly who was supposed to find them found them.
Exactly. Exactly. So as we wrap up, I would like for you to tell me your meaning of resilience, and then let everyone know how they can reach you, get the book, work with you. Let us know.
Okay, my goodness. Resilience. Resilience is overcoming.
Mm,
Resilience is doing the hard stuff and walking through it.
that's good.
Resilience is remembering to breathe when it seems too hard to even go on. Resilience is maybe helping someone else instead, so that we can remove ourselves from the pain or the struggle that we're in. Um, and through that, we find a way to move
Yeah.
forward. That's
Wow.
what resilience is to me.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. Overcoming. I love that. I'm going to quote you on that.
You
Thank you. All
may.
right. Please let us know how people could work with you, where they could reach you, contact you, get your book.
Okay. Well, probably the easiest way to find everything all together. Well, I am on LinkedIn, Traycee Meyer, and but go to my website, beuleadership.com, and it's BEYOU leadership.com. Yep, go right to my website. There's buttons, I think, on every page where you could say, talk to Traycee. I offer 30 minutes just to chat with me about whatever you want, and we can find out if we're a match both ways, if we're a match and we want to work together, or if you just want to chat for a few minutes about something. I'm happy to take that time. So book a meeting with me. There's a link to buy my book, which is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. I have a few new things coming up. I will be doing some podcasts with a friend of mine. I'm going to read one chapter at a time of my book, and she's going to interview me a bit about it. So I don't have the details of that yet, but I'll be posting it on Instagram and my website and also LinkedIn when the time comes.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Amazing. That's exciting. That's exciting. So thank you. Seriously, thank you. I always tell my guests, thank you for giving up your time because our time is precious. We don't get it back. And I truly appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your world with us. Um, it's an honor. It is an honor to have you.
Likewise, Dawn. We were supposed to meet, right?
Yes.
When we met a couple months ago, and we were on whatever that thing was, and we appeared on the same screen in a room by ourselves, and it was like, yeah, there was a reason. And I think that you have a beautiful message, and your light is bright. So keep shining it, girl.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We're gonna be in touch. We're gonna be in touch.
Yeah.
Because the new year is coming, and I got me a whole new circle, new crowd, of people. What you doing? Okay, here I come. How can I help? Here I come.
Yep. And let me know where I can meet you. I will.
Most definitely. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. To my Resilience family, guys, thank you to those that watch. Thank you to those that are listening and listening later. Such a blessing to have you guys. I thank you so much. And as I always say, stay well, stay healthy, and always, always, guys, stay resilient. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.